Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly Amazon Zoom, and I want to welcome you guys into our Zoom. A lot of you guys here are members of my group, and a lot of you guys are also guests coming from like social media and other places. So welcome guys, and thank you guys for just taking the time to be here tonight. So we have Noelle here tonight. She's very humble, but this lady is a killer in the Amazon space. She doesn't like me saying this, but to me, she's a seven-figure Amazon seller, but she's just humble about it, right? She's also a stay-at-home mom, which is beautiful, right? Because she's able to make money from home and be with her husband and baby. And I think that's the beauty of having an online business, right? All of us want to make money, but really it's all about freedom. And I think Noelle has the freedom to be with her family, and that's because of Amazon, right? Noelle also owns, or not owns, but she has a Discord group. And honestly, Noelle is one of the most helpful person that I know in the Amazon space. Every time that I'm stuck with like one process or like one product, I go to her Discord group and ask my questions there, and I do get an answer like right away. So with that being said, thank you again, Noelle, for being here tonight. And so, yeah, if you can just introduce yourself real quick, and then we're gonna go to Q&A.
Yeah, so I started Amazon back in March of 2021. I got into it because I started watching YouTube videos, how to make money from home. I had just had a kid, and I was like, I'm not going back to work 40 hours a week because I was making maybe $400. That was how much it was going to cost to put my kid in daycare. And I didn't want anyone touching my baby, to be honest. I was like, I want to handle what's going on and what's happening. So I was determined to find something. I sold on eBay for a couple months. I was starting to pick up speed. I was doing like 5,000 in sales for those 2 months. And then I found out about, Amazon. I did try to flip used books for a couple weeks. I hated it because I was just standing in the thrift store for like 2 to 3 hours, and I felt like I was barely making anything. So then I found Walmart clearance. So I started going to Walmart for a few hours a day. It was my Walmart. I hated Walmart up until that point. But when I started shopping there, I was like, this is my Walmart. I know where everything is. I know what I would walk down the clearance aisle and I know what was new and what was old and what's been sitting there. I did that for a few months. I went from 3K my first month, 5K, and then I hit 10K. So I was like, okay, I proved the point, like this can work. And I think the biggest thing about going into Amazon is that you can't think, well, I guess I'll see if this will work. I guess I'll see if I can do this. When I went into it, I was like, I'm making this work. When you do something like this, you're going to have people that question you, especially, your spouse may be like, if they've never heard this before, they're like, are you sure? Because you have to invest, quite a bit of money up front. And I remember him saying, like, I don't think it's going to work. I think you're going to need to get like a normal job. And I was like, no, I'm going to make this work no matter what. Like, Amazon's going to work for me. So I never had the mindset of, we'll see how it goes. No, it had to work because I wanted to stay home with my kid. And I wasn't going to take anything less than that. So I put all my efforts in. I watched YouTube. Like, all I did was watch YouTube when I was at home with my kid. I was watching all different videos of how to make, how it works. And I just grew from that. And I made mistakes along the way. I lost money, but I started learning how to make money. So transitioning from RA, I got into my first Discord group, which is actually why I created my own, because of the way it helped me grow. And I went from, the 10K a month. The next month I went to 40K. It's a little bit skewed because it was when, a hot bolo, it was during COVID, and pools and chlorine was very inflated prices. And I just went all in. So I was spending a whole bunch of money clearing out all my stores in my area to get as much of this I could and like just selling them. So I went from 40K, and then the next month, I think I did 50 or 60K. And after that, the chlorine kind of died down, but I was staying around 30, 40K, just buying, products from the Discord. And I was starting to learn how to source on my own and doing retail. My kid got a little bit older, and I decided, okay, being in the store for 3 hours at a time isn't going to work anymore. Because again, I'm watching my kid the whole day as my husband's working. So I was like, okay, what can I do? And that's when I found OA. So I slowly transitioned to OA. finding leads, learning how to source, learning how to read Keepa. And from there, I would probably say the start of 2022 is when I really got into like pretty much all OA. And now I'm to the point where OA is becoming too time consuming. I'm hating having to place so many orders and having to find so many products just to make, to scale. I much rather place a big order. Like I'd rather place $20,000-$30,000 order with a supplier and then, make $2 profit on each unit. Cause that's a way less work for me because I have a prep center. So for me, it's always about how can I scale, but do less while doing it. And I think wholesale is that next step. If you're limited on capital, I think OA is great. But once you have more capital than you do have products, I think it just makes sense to maybe look into wholesale, even if you do it a little bit, because it's just going to help give you that extra boost. And whether you're taking a $2 profit or you're finding a $5 profit item, it's just the ease of purchase is just what you start to look for, because I hate chasing, that's why I gave up RA. That's why, I'm starting to get over OA, because I just hate having to feel like I'm always chasing something. I just want something to be there and I can grab it, sell it, and be done. I don't like feeling like I only have a limited amount of time. I'm chasing the out of stocks and all the stuff like everyone else says. But yeah, that's pretty much brings me to here. I'm happy to be on the call with you guys and happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Any questions, guys?
I have a question. Hi again. So my question is, I know you want to jump into the wholesale, and like we've had other guests speak about how you have to like call suppliers, go visit them in your town. Like, how do you plan on getting your wholesaler when you start? Like you're saying, because I would love to do that, like just buy a chunk of something instead of like you're saying, because I do run into that like sold out, or you like to buy one at a time of something. It is a little frustrating. So how are you going to go about it? Like, do you have any suggestions like are you going to get catalogs, or like what do you plan on doing?
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to be looking at wholesalers around my prep center, because the thing is, you want ones close to you, because if you get one far away, you're going to pay for shipping and it's going to be a lot of money. That's going to cut a lot into your profits. So if I were you, I would be looking at cash only wholesalers by you. So if you're able to do that, because obviously some people don't have that just cash to spend, but if you do, I would look for cash only wholesalers. So essentially you would walk into their store, you create your own catalog list, unless they have one, but a lot of times they don't. You're going to take like a blank sheet of paper, go in, and you're going to write down pretty much all the products they have and the prices. You can also take pictures of it, go home and research every single one of them. Because if you're doing it all in the store, you're going to be there for hours. And you want to be able to source efficiently. So taking those pictures and writing down the information, you come home, you look them up, because you're going to find multi-packs, you're going to find bundles that way, versus trying to do it all on your phone. And then you essentially create your buy list. Then you go back and then you buy what you want, because you know exactly how much you're going to buy of each product. That would probably be my first step. And a lot of times those are smaller guys. So as long as you have your like retail license, your EIN number, like you can shop there. They usually don't say like, no, we don't sell to Amazon sellers. They're not usually like that. And then the next step after that, if I were you, I would reach out to those wholesalers around you that are not cash based. And I actually have, I'm sure if anyone else is interested, just message me on Instagram. I have some like wholesale templates that you can like say on the phone, but it's always best to call them. When you email them, they're getting tons of emails. They don't really care. You're just like someone, like you're a nobody to them at that point. So if you actually call them, you're gonna get a real person and say, hey, and I have a script that you can actually say to them. Something along the lines like, hey, I'm so-and-so, I have a business, I run a distribution. We say it in a way that we don't come out and say, hey, I'm an Amazon seller, I want to sell. How can I sign up? Because Amazon sellers, unfortunately, have a really bad reputation, because we're likely to just show up, never place an order, or, we place one order and then we dip out. Like they want a client that's going to be spending like thousands, a year with them. They're looking at least 30,000 on the minimum a year. So if you're not a big client to them, they don't really care about you. They're not going to give you big deals. They're not going to work with you. So you don't bluff, that you're an Amazon seller, but you say it in a way that makes you sound professional and that they should take you seriously. But that would be the way, is just start reaching out to those people around you. And the way you can do that is go to Google and just type in, you know, whatever category you're looking for, grocery wholesaler in, you know, West Palm Beach, Florida, or, you know, beauty wholesaler, you know, in the East Coast, like any of those kind of keywords, and just start going through them and calling them. That would be it. That was a lot, so
Yeah.
hopefully you remember that.
I was just like, so our well, the one I live in Tampa, Florida, but the prep center that I use is in Las Vegas. So I really can't go check out the wholesalers in person unless I I talked to Louis about unless I move my prep center to Florida.
Well, you could, if you wanted to keep it there, I would just do the same thing, but say, you know, Las Vegas or Nevada, because then they can still ship to your prep center, and and they actually want loading docks. So if you actually have that in that prep center, that's actually, a lot of wholesalers will require you to have something like that when they ship it. So it's actually better for it to be going to a place like that than your home, because a lot of places won't ship to your home. And again, that makes you look unprofessional, right? They're like, oh, this is a residential address. She's not going to place so many orders with us, you know, and they may kind of like kick you to the curb and not really answer you, and may not give you that account.
Yeah. And Leslie,
So I would,
oh, sorry. I have a wholesaler in LA that also works with a prep center. So just DM me after the call, and, you know, if you want to talk to them, you can.
In LA?
Yeah. So they have a prep center in LA, and also, sorry. It's a wholesaler with a prep center together. It's like two companies together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just DM me after the call, you know, if you want to like venture out, I guess, of OA, do wholesale. So.
Yeah, and I would say the main way to verify a wholesaler is go to their website, and the first thing you can do is check their address. So copy and paste their address into Google and look at the street view. Is it an actual warehouse, or is it like a post office box they're essentially using? Usually when it's like a PO box kind of thing, or it's like a call center, things like that, that's usually kind of a red flag. I'm not saying it's all like they're all sketchy like that. Like, you know, all of them are like scams, but for the most part, you want to see a warehouse. You want to see their name on the building. Okay, they're legit. They have their own warehouse, and they're not being a middleman. A lot of times when there's a PO box or something, or like a virtual address, they're a middleman. They actually are buying from the actual wholesaler, and you're actually being upcharged. So your competitors are going to be getting it at a lower price than you are, and you can't stay competitive if that price were to drop. So just keep that in mind too. Address is the biggest thing, to check that, to make sure that they're legit.
Oh, look at Leslie upgrading to wholesaler already.
No, I'm just wondering, because I'm just like, I can never find like a lot of good stuff. So I kind of agree with she's saying, like maybe one thing a day or two, and it's like I'll make $38, you know.
And the thing is, even with wholesale catalogs, a majority aren't going to be like a hit. Like you would have to, like, essentially the best way to do is manually go through their catalog and see what makes a profit on Amazon. Because I do wholesale leads in my group, and I see the average that I see come from a catalog that has like hundreds. It's like it's less than 50 that come from it usually. If I hit more than that, it's like a really good catalog, and they probably won't stay in stock for long. But even then, like, you're only buying a select, you know, amount from the wholesaler. It's not like everything's gonna be profitable. You still have to do your due diligence and look through their catalog. But you're gonna at least find, you know, I would say 10 to 30 items you could buy from them.
Yeah,
So.
it's gonna be a numbers game. Like
Yeah.
OA.
And that's something you can give your VA. That's what I do. I have my VA go through the wholesale catalogs now. I used to run it through tactical arbitrage, but tactical arbitrage is going to miss a lot of those bundle units. So now I actually have my VA going through the whole catalog, like one by one, and doing it that way, because it's busy work. That's going to take time. So if you don't want to do that, that's a great thing to have a VA do. And it's really simple for them to do. It's a really easy, it's just a tedious task.
Yeah, and there's no way around product research, right, Noel? It doesn't matter what you do, right? You gotta learn like product research, right?
Yeah, that's why if you can give it away to someone else once, you know, you get to that point and you're confident enough to, you know, train someone else. Yeah, give it away, because that's a huge time waster.
Right. Any more questions, guys?
I got one.
Go ahead, bro.
And is,
Steve?
I know how you said about the chlorine shortage we had like a couple years ago. I worked for a pool business, so I know all about that, how the chlorine went up.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking of buying, well, what I'm doing right now is buying stuff from Alibaba, like pool lights, pool supply stores, and thinking of shipping it to like doing an Amazon account, but that's my step. I do not get how to get to there, you know? Or
I
is
think
it-
if you do Alibaba, you're gonna have to, that's like a private label route. Even if you find what looks like the same product, a lot of times those are private labeled. So, someone can buy the product from Alibaba and they can label it like, Noel, that's the brand, Noel. And even though it's the same product, if you list on their listing, that's an IP waiting to happen. They could give you an IP for that. So I don't buy anything from Alibaba. That would maybe be something you could sell if you private labeled it, or if you wanted to go like the eBay route or something like that. You could definitely do that, but I wouldn't suggest hopping on other people's listings because that's probably what you're going to be doing. And if not, if the brand is a well-known brand, if it's coming from Alibaba, that's essentially a counterfeit product because it's not going to be that name brand that you're selling on. So like if they give you a counterfeit claim, there's no way for you to fight that. You would just be stuck with it on your account. And so I would just be afraid that if you had so many products like that, that could get your account shut down, especially if you haven't done a lot in sales to back up those claims. That can get you like suspended pretty quickly. So I would just be hesitant about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do our model, bro, online arbitrage. So we buy products from like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and then we list it on Amazon. So
Yeah, and like I said, you can do Alibaba. Plenty of people do it, but you're gonna have to create your own brand and you're gonna have to make your own listing, put in the keywords. I don't do private label. I think it's one of the more complicated ones to do and get into because you have to learn how to make your listing. You have to know the keywords. You have to get the pictures. You have to get the description. You have to get like the ad photos. It's a lot. I'm not saying it's impossible. You could definitely dive into it and be successful. I just think it's more chances of issues arising as a new seller. If you don't have a lot of capital, you can run into issues. And the wait time, it's coming from China, so you're waiting, you have to test the product and then you have to send it back and give your feedback and then they send it again, so it's a lot of back and forth.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sorry to like put you down there. But
Yeah,
I do see that. I see that advertised on Instagram a lot, and it's not as easy as some people make it seem.
yeah, Tammy's saying I would start with OA and learn how Amazon selling works before even thinking about private label. Yes, I agree. And Rebecca said I agree. So
Yeah. Even
That's what
RA. I mean, I really like RA too. If you have the time to go in the store, I love doing that. But I just couldn't go in the store anymore. I was like, I'm over this. And then that's when I got into OA.
right. So I guess my question for you, Noel, is so for people that are selling, I want to say like at least like 6 months or less, like what is your advice for them, for those people?
I would say focus on like 3 categories if you can. Don't be afraid to get ungated once you find a profitable item in that category. That's the way I ungated. I didn't do that once. And when I ungated in Nike, I didn't have any products to sell. I was just like, oh, everyone, they say get ungated in Nike. I didn't sell a Nike product until 7 months later. So that like $100 I spent was just wasted, I could use that for something else during that time. But once you find a profitable item, within a brand you're gated in, that's when you go buy it, because then it kind of breaks even at that point, right? Because you're probably going to spend about $80 and you're probably going to make around $80 if you're buying a decent item. So I see at that point, it's like, okay, I'll break even, but now I can sell all this brand. And now that just opened up a whole new, realm of products for me. So I would just say focus on 3. I mean, ones that I think are great. If you're doing your prep yourself, grocery is really great. I find that prep centers kind of kill grocery margins, so I don't sell too much grocery now. Beauty products are great. They're small, they're light. You could fit like 100 units in a small box. And so your price per item to ship it is super low. Gated means, I see someone says, what does gated mean? When you go into Amazon, you go to try to list a product, it says you need approval. You have to request approval. So when you say request approval, it'll pop up, and sometimes it says you're automatically ungated, you can sell it. And a lot of times it's going to say, we want an invoice from a supplier, of 10 units and all this stuff. So you have to buy, you have to buy 10 units from a supplier and upload that invoice to Amazon to sell it. So that's what gated means. It just means that you're restricted from selling that product until you get that invoice.
Right.
And then I lost count of where I was at. I don't know what I was saying before.
Questions, guys? Any questions? Man, you guys are shy. No questions? Brian?
I'll ask the question.
Okay.
Brian.
Go ahead, Leslie. Go ahead.
Do you have any like tips for keeping organized with like do you use Google Sheets? Is that what you do also? Because we were talking about that earlier. Like how do you keep all your stuff before? You probably have someone help you now, but like before, like how did you do it? I
didn't. I was so disorganized. I will be completely honest. I was so disorganized every year. The last 2021 and 2022, when I did my taxes, that was me doing my audits for the whole year. I just got so consumed in buying and selling. I always put it on the back burner. So now I always tell people, first thing, get QuickBooks. Easy. It's so easy to do. And start categorizing your expenses. So you can just get the basic version. I think it's like 15, maybe $20 a month. Hook up to all your credit cards or, business accounts that you use, to anything that's linked to your Amazon account. Your personal and your business should be separate. So any credit cards you're using for Amazon, you should be only using them for Amazon. Don't mix them. I did that the first year. Taxes are like hell when you do that. Don't do that. So just separate them. Link them to QuickBooks, and then you can actually check your profit and loss each month. Especially when you're new, you're going to be probably in like negative for the first at least 3, maybe 4 months. You're going to be negative because you're selling way more products. You're buying more products, you're paying for softwares, you're waiting for check-in times for FBA, your prep center, all these fees. But then once you get into like that routine of sending every week or every 2 weeks, your items are being sent to FBA, you're going to see that money start coming back. And so you won't notice you spending versus making. So biggest thing, QuickBooks. And then after that, Google Sheets. So I don't keep track of my purchases because the way my prep center works, it's called Airtable, and that's where I input all of my stuff going to them. So that's kind of like my Google Sheet of like what I purchased. So when I go through that, when I see a product hasn't arrived in 2-3 weeks, I can go and check on that product. I'm like, okay, this order was canceled. Oh, they never sent this. Hey, where's my order? So that's kind of how I keep track of my purchases. And then my returns, I have a Google Sheet. So every time I go to put in a return, I put in like, my order number, and I set all that up. And once I get that money back, then I put in, okay, I got this money back. And that's going to happen. It may not be that big of a deal now, but when you start having to return a lot of things because they come damaged, you can lose track of like what's been refunded. I almost missed out on like $300 worth of a refund from Target because the item was sent back to them, but for some reason it like glitched in their system. Even though it shows it was delivered to their return facility, I had to like contact them, and then I got that money back. So if I didn't like keep track of that and I didn't notice that, I would have just been out $300 and I would have not known. So returns is important to keep track of. And I think that's pretty much probably the majority of what you guys are doing at this point. If you're doing LA, unless you're doing discounted gift cards and things like that, then that's another spreadsheet. But that's pretty much what I keep track of, like personally, through my like Google Sheets.
That's great, because I never thought to do a returns sheet, because I've had like 3 already. And you're right, I never go back to check to see if it's been refunded.
Yeah, it's super easy to do. Again, if that's something you're interested in, if you guys just message me on Instagram, I can show you my layout of how I do it. And I'll share that with you guys.
Yeah, add her on Instagram. I'm typing her Instagram handle here on the chat. So add her Instagram. And Peter has a question in the chat. What would you say is a good amount of money to start with to increase your likelihood of success?
I would say a comfortable number is like if you're just starting out, I would probably say like 2,000. I would want to at least play with, because that kind of gives you a nice buffer for softwares. Because you don't want to give up softwares that really help you because you don't have enough money, like Keepa. People don't want to pay for the paid version of Keepa, but you have to have that. Like, I was that person. I was like, I don't need Keepa. I can do this on my own. And I don't know how I even made money without Keepa before. I really don't. But it would have helped me from saving money on bad buys where I had to take losses. So you don't want to be in the mindset of, oh, this software is too expensive when everyone's telling you to get it. Because if you're thinking of, paying $20 a month is too expensive, well, then how are you going to be spending thousands of dollars on inventory? Like, the mindset just doesn't make sense there. So I would say 2,000 because it's going to cover your softwares probably, softwares and all your supplies, polybags or labels, things like that is probably gonna be around, I would say $500 at least. And then you can have that, like, that $1,000 of money to go buy of inventory. And then you have a $500 buffer that you could choose what to do with, if an extra expense comes your way for some reason, you want to buy another software, or a hot item comes along and you want to hop on that. I think that's like a nice area. People will tell you can do it with $500, and you can. I just think it restricts you too much, and so you give up things that you should get.
I agree. Let me see. Any more questions, guys? Gustavo, I saw you like unmuting earlier. Brian, any questions? Let's see.
I have a question about the pool chemicals.
Yeah.
So you say you were flipping those back when it was inflation?
Yeah, so there was like Clorox tabs, like say it was like HTH 8-pound Clorox tablets. And I was buying them for say $70 and it was selling for $260 on Amazon. It was stupid. It was like stupid money. And it was just insanely inflated because you just couldn't get it. It was just such a limited supply. And so a lot of the northern states had it and a lot of the southern states didn't. So I was seeing a lot of my stuff was going to, Florida, all those hot states, because they didn't have it there, who needed it the most. All the northern states had it. So like there was a time I drove like 6 hours to go pick up, I think I picked up probably like 70 buckets of chlorine. It was just a crazy time. And like, that's why I always try to tell people, my sales jumped up really high, but that's a very unusual thing to happen. Like, that most likely won't happen to you unless, you find this crazy bolo. That's just like not realistic. So that's why I always like to like do a disclaimer, because I don't want to seem like, oh, all of a sudden I did all this crazy stuff and that's how I made all that money those 2 months. It kind of just proved the point. Like, this is crazy what you can sell on Amazon for prices that people will pay for.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Kind of unbelievable, right?
I mean, same thing with Nike. You can buy with, discounts and stuff. You'll buy shoes for $80 and they'll flip for $200 and people pay for it. It's the convenience of it. And I mean, I do it too, not that much, but I've gotten things 3 times the price from Amazon because I don't want to drive 45 minutes to the Whole Foods down the way. So.
Yeah, who doesn't buy from Amazon? Raise your hand. Who does?
Yeah, I buy all the time. And then
I know you guys love it. Sorry, go ahead.
Someone said, what is Keepa software you're speaking about? Keepa is pretty much the history of a product. As long as it's been on Amazon, it's been tracking that product. So it's going to tell you essentially how much it's selling, the velocity it's selling at, how many offer counts are currently on it, how many offers can it hold before it tanks if it has. It's telling you the stability of the price. It's telling you historical like data of how many people are restocking and how fast are they selling through it. It's telling you the buy box. It's telling you a whole bunch. So Peter, I would 100%, if you're selling on Amazon, you need to go. I actually just made a Keepa video on my YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, or just any YouTube video of Keepa, how to read it. You have to have it. That's something that's like, that's like my number one software after the pro account of Amazon to have. So 100% go look that up after this call. What's your typical wholesale order / ROI? I'm not doing wholesale at the moment. It's something I want to get into in the next month or two. I'm just doing OA. But my currently ROI is I aim for 30%. But I'll take as low as 15 if the velocity is there. So I don't like say no to an item just because one thing's not perfect, but something else could be. So it all depends. Like I'll sell a product at 15% ROI for $2. If I can sell, I can sell 60 of them in 3 days. There's a product right now that I just sold, I think 60 products in 2 days. And that one, and I'll do it. I'll do that all day. The faster you can turn your money, the better. So I don't like to go under $2 profit. But that's also taking into account my prep center fee. So essentially I'm looking for a $3.50 product when I'm buying it. My YouTube channel is just Kona Reselling. If you go to my Instagram, I believe it's linked to my Instagram too in my bio. So you guys can check that out.
Yeah, I typed it there, Kona Reselling.
Yeah, I try to make it easy.
Questions? Here you go.
How do you find your products yourself, or do you buy leads? So I don't buy leads. I have a VA. So I have one VA that does OA. And I just brought him on full time to see what he could do. A lot of times people tell me you need to bring your VAs full time to really see what they're capable of, because 20 hours a week just isn't enough. So I just brought him in full time. And so that's where I'm buying my leads. And also my Discord, I'll look through those leads as well and just rabbit trail off of them. And then for my wholesale leads, which I haven't got into, but for my Discord, I actually use Fiverr for them to give me potential wholesalers to look at. And then what I do is actually will verify each wholesaler. And a lot of times there's some scam ones in there. So I just reply back, hey, these aren't going to work because of this. Can you send me, 4 different ones? And then that kind of gives me a starting point because I do that for my Discord. So like for me to have to call that many suppliers all the time would be like insanely time consuming. So I actually pay Fiverr, and I think I pay about $15 per wholesaler, essentially. Like, so if I'm getting a list of 10, I'm doing, 15 times 10 is how much I'm paying for that list. And then I have to go through it, vet them, because obviously I don't want anyone to buy something from a scammer. So you can also use Fiverr. I wouldn't use Fiverr for OA leads because a lot of times they're sharing it with multiple people. So you're going to see tanking a lot on those listings. You could use it as a rabbit trail, but wholesale I think is a little bit more safer if you wanted to, you wanted kind of some help there. And I'm sure there's some people that would say, hey, can you look in this area for wholesalers, and they could help you. And that's kind of like your own VA in that way. So, and you can also actually go and hire a VA for that. So it just depends on what you want to do. How much time or like money you want to dedicate. Obviously a VA is a month to month, where a Fiverr is like a one-time thing. And then if you like it, keep doing it or get a VA.
That's really good.
That's what I would recommend.
So go on Fiverr and look for like wholesale distributors. Is that the place?
Yeah. So if you just type in like wholesale for Amazon, FBA or something like that, you'll get a bunch of different people that like will find people for you. Some people will even contact the company on your behalf and set you up an account with them. So I haven't done that. I just get like the wholesalers and I vet them and then, contact them back and forth like that. But yeah, they can do it all for you essentially. I know someone who they have 3 VAs that they have for wholesale, and they'll do all that for her. So they'll contact them, they'll get the account set up, and then they'll go through the catalog list. They send her what looks good. She tells them this is what you buy, then they go buy it, and then she's done. How much do you spend on inventory every month to make 10K month profit? That's very subjective because my ROI can fluctuate a lot. It depends on what I'm selling that month. And also if I have to liquidate that month, because there's a time probably about once every 3 months, I'm liquidating inventory that just is sitting there for too long. So I take a small loss on those products usually, which brings down that profit per month. But I would say probably 10K. During Q4, that's really easy to do, but I'm trying to think of like normal times and not like skew those numbers. I'm probably spending around 50, 60 is in sales, 50, 60,000 in sales to make 10K profit.
How about in Q4? A lot quicker, right? A lot less and quicker.
That's way quicker. Yeah. I would say I could probably do it in like 30, high 40K, because profit's just crazy. Like the sales they have going on, it's nuts. You can't even shop all the sales during Q4. So, but I would say probably around 50, normally, like a normal thing. That's pretty normal, for like OA is to get that much. If you're using all the cashback extensions, discounted gift cards, things like that.
Right. Any more questions? Man, it's so quiet.
I'll throw in a question, Louis. Hey,
you
it's
go.
Gonzalo. How are you?
What's up, bro?
Good. Yeah, I guess the question is, what would your advice be? Because I'm first of all, I'm new. I just placed my first couple of orders, but I'm finding it very, very hard to find products, first of all, that have a ROI of at least 20 or more. And if it does, the profit is within maybe $2, $3. And if the profit is not 2 or 3, maybe it's 5 or 6, which I have found some, the sales are not high sales per month. So I'm having a hard time finding those and I know she said to do VA, but I don't think I'm at that stage right now. So I'm purchasing leads, but then the leads that are being sent aren't great leads. So I want to start doing it on my own. I don't know. I need some help.
So that's completely typical. When you're first starting out, you can spend 3 hours sourcing and find one product. There's times now that if I'm sourcing on my own, it takes me about an hour or two before usually at least an hour until I really get into sourcing where I'm finding something good. Sometimes I'm finding 5, 10 leads, and other times I'm finding one, or it's just not working. So that's very common. You're not doing anything wrong. If it was that easy to find leads, there'd be a lot more people hopping on and selling on Amazon. So that's the hardest part. Me and Louis were talking about that earlier. Sourcing product research is the hardest part of Amazon. I would say, do you have a lot of money like you're playing with, or do you only have a limited amount?
I have a decent amount.
If you have a decent amount and you're not buying anything because you're only finding, $2 profit items or, things like that, I think you're missing out on opportunities there. So even though it's not as great as you'd like, it's better than you not spending any money and waiting for something to pop up, because you could have maybe bought that item and already sold it by the time you find something good, depending on if you're doing FBM or FBA. So you're actually missing out on just money that's sitting there. It's the low hanging fruit, essentially. So other people are going to pass that up because they're like, it's only $2 profit. But maybe, those higher velocity, you look at the data of Keepa and you say, okay, I'm expected to get, 20 sales a month for $2 profit. Well, you think, okay, $40, that's not that much. But if you have 10 products like that, now you're 10 times 40, you just made $400 that month. So you kind of have to see it's like a numbers game. So you just have to sell
buying.
more.
I'm sorry. I haven't sat still. I mean, I've been actually buying those products that I find, and some of the products from the list that I've been getting are within that range. And I have been buying. It's just like you just said, it's $20 here and $20 there. In my mind, it's like, okay, I need to produce more and I need to make more and I want to scale it up. I've even actually tried Helium 10, the free trial. I've tried Tactical Arbitrage, the free trial, and Seller Amp. I actually purchased Seller Amp.
Have you used Keepa Product Finder?
No, I have not. I haven't used that one yet.
100% go look in that. That's going to save you time if you're doing any reverse sourcing on stores, or if you're looking at certain brands. Keep a Product Finder is going to give you like essentially your own leads list to go through and find those products, and you're going to have better luck, and it's going to be a lot faster than the way you're doing it right now, because you're essentially manually doing it and then also having the leads list. Keep a Product Finder is going to, I think, going to help you a ton, because you can actually export it into a spreadsheet. So as you're sourcing, each day you can stop wherever you like, and you can make notes on each product that you're finding that you like. So look into that. I would also say that make sure you're rabbit trailing. So the products that are already working for you, like look at those products. So whether it's the brand, type in the brand on Keep a Product Finder. You can type in the brands, and you can reach out to me on Instagram and I'll send you a video you can look at. But you can actually type in just the brand and get a list of all the products are from that brand. And then you can even categorize it by sales rank, or how many sellers you're on it, or what's the buy box currently, like a certain price. So that way you're able to weed out of all the bad ones and then focus on only the ones you want. So if you're looking for a fast moving product, you may want under 50K. So you can do 1 to 50K. And it's going to tell you, hey, this is all the ones from that brand. So you already know that brand works for one product. There's probably a good chance that brand's going to have another product you can sell. And you can also take another step further with category. So, if you're selling toothpaste and you're like, this toothpaste is doing really good. Well, there's probably another brand of toothpaste that you can sell too. And so that's when you can kind of play off those leads. That would be the biggest thing. Just manually sourcing and going up based off nothing is going to take a lot longer. It's just going to take up a lot of time, and you're probably not going to find a bunch of stuff that way. But just the more you do it, the better you get at it. Like there's no fast track to learning how to source and be more efficient. It just comes with practice. Like one day you're just going to be like, oh, like this isn't bad anymore. I know how, because you start to learn what brands are bad, what prices look good, right? If you're selling like beauty items, kind of the price of beauty item has to be for it to be profitable. So it just comes based off experience, but 100% use Keep a Product Finder and see how that goes, because I think that's going to help you a lot in sourcing and saving you a lot of time.
Thank you. I'll do that. Thank you for the advice.
No, you're welcome.
I love that. It takes practice. I really believe in that.
Unfortunately, but that's
right?
what weeds out. That's what weeds out all the sellers who don't want to put in the work. So don't think you're doing anything wrong. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you're along with everyone else who's starting. It's just a learning curve, really, and learning how to read the softwares and utilize them, to the best that you can. We have another question. Let me read it. So as far as ungating goes, it used to be very hard to get ungated. When I got started, you had to use like actual like suppliers. Now you can get ungated with Target, Kohl's, Ulta. I heard recently Walgreens worked for someone. I mean, I can't vet that that's going to work for you too, but like Amazon apparently is taking anything these days. So no, you don't have to go to an exact supplier. You can just you just can't have like a receipt from a store. It has to be like a packing slip. So it has to be purchased online. And it just has to be 10 units of that brand. So whenever you go to Ungate, make sure whatever product you're buying is actually showing ungated in that brand on Amazon, and always try to click approval first. A lot of times people will just buy it because they show it's ungated. And then when they go to Ungate, it automatically approves them and they just wasted that money. So just make sure it's actually gated for the item you want, because sometimes things are misbranded or miscategorized, and then you're actually going to ungate in something you don't want. Oh, and then I'm reading the second part now. You're saying Amazon's not accepting none of my Walmart/Chewy Target invoices to get ungated. Are you using the packing slip? Because apparently you're supposed to use the packing slip for those, not like your email confirmation. That's not going to work. It's the actual packing slip that works. Walmart, I don't know. I haven't heard someone getting ungated in Walmart. I know Target. I'm not sure about Chewy. I haven't heard that before, but I'm not surprised if it would work. What you do sometimes, if you if you highlight, like, as long as your address on Amazon matches, I would highlight the address. I would highlight the product's brand, you know, what you're trying to get into, highlight the quantity, you know, even write the ASIN that you're engaging on the packing slip. Make it easy, like act like you're going to give it to a kindergartner to say, hey, am I ungated? Because that's pretty much how seller support is. They're quick, you know, they have a quota to meet every day. So if yours is harder to read, they're just going to pass it, say deny. And I've had someone tell me that it took them 20 times for someone to accept an invoice. So just keep trying, because eventually it will get gated as long as everything's actually correct on the information. So I would say, the only thing I would say is that the reason they're denying you, because they're telling you why they're denying you in the email back to you. So I would just make sure whatever they're saying, you're fixing and you're highlighting it, so that way they can review it. I actually once had to tell someone, because they kept saying no, and I was getting so mad because I actually bought it from a supplier. And I remember I was like kind of mean, and I was just like, please do your job and stop just hitting deny. Like, read this, it's correct. And then I actually got ungated and they accepted it that time. Because they're just hitting quotas. You're just another number. They're not, you know, they're not really looking at a lot of that stuff. So, oh yeah, okay, Tammy. Yeah, so she was the one who got ungated in Walgreens. So, yeah, Walgreens apparently works too. I'm telling you, Amazon is nuts. I don't get what's going on here. But I mean, it's great for all those people that need to get ungated. But if you have more questions about it, just hit me up on Instagram, and I can take a look at it and see if there's anything that maybe you're missing that I can help you with. I don't mind doing that.
Yeah, follow her Instagram, by the way. It's on the chat right there. Any more questions, guys?
Hey, Lewis, this is Ro.
Hey, Ro.
How are
Hey,
you?
Ro.
Hey, Noel, I miss you. I was out for a couple of months and I said, man, it seems like every morning I couldn't wait to open the Discord to see what was going on and see what leads were happening. But yeah, awesome group. And I do intend to come back. But that is definitely true what you were saying about the ungating. I did the same thing, you know, with the typing the async and highlighting. It's like, wait a minute, the information's already there. Why am I doing it? But I did exactly how it said. And then I'd seen it in another group where someone mentioned about in the special instructions or additional information to put in there what you were ungating the item or the invoice, etc. And every time I've made the request, they've always been granted. So
yeah, you really have to spell it out for them.
Sure.
Sometimes they do their job, or, you know, sometimes I've seen my request approved in like 20 seconds, and that's like a bot, you know, someone's just hitting approve and they don't care. So it just depends. Sometimes you just, like, I feel like sometimes when you get denied so many times, they're just like automatically going to deny you again no matter what. So that's when you have to put in, you know, those words and, you know, and be a little bit more firm with them and be like, take a look, this is correct, you know, and go from there. So yeah, seller support is not, they're not great. A lot of times you're gonna need help. You're gonna have to go somewhere else. They're not gonna be much help to you, right? They're just reading off a script. You know, they don't know how to sell on Amazon.
Right. And Walmart doesn't work, or it didn't work for me either.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone saying Walmart worked. So I'm surprised because, you know, everything else seems to work, but yeah, I hadn't heard that yet.
And they don't send packing slips. It's like they don't send anything with it except for the information, the confirmation via email. And once you try to piece all that together, screenshot it, is like it wasn't worth it. But then I tried it, but no, that didn't work for me either.
Yeah, they're not gonna like that.
And I like the idea that you said about waiting to find the product before ungating, because a lot of people do jump out and start ungating, of course, in the Nikes, the Adidas, the Lego. And I had the same experience as you in that I bought product for Nike and have never sold Nike to this day.
Yep.
But
it's just a waste of money.
Yeah, but what I end up doing, and I understand that it's kind of frowned upon, I ordered online, but then I went to the local store and returned it. So it actually
yeah,
I don't make that.
We're not gonna advertise that. We're gonna go ahead and put you on
exactly
for saying that.
So you can do it.
That's gangster though.
But yeah, but anyway, those who are interested, I'm marketing for Noel. Get into her Discord. It's absolutely amazing. I will jump back in, but decided to kind of experiment elsewhere, but didn't work like I thought it would. But yeah, But you're
Yeah,
absolutely
and
amazing,
just
Blue.
on that, the one that she's talking about is, I actually just created it where there's the leads. If you're looking for leads, we provide over 200 like each month, wholesale, OA, RA, small and light, FBM orders, leads like that. But I was seeing that a lot of people, once they get to that point where they don't need them anymore, because it's $100 a month, you know, you want to be able to put that money elsewhere, but they still wanted to be a part of the community. So I haven't even like announced it, but I actually just created another membership of, it's just the community. So you don't get the leads section of the Discord, but if you wanted to just be a part of the community and get a benefit of everything that I have in there, it's only $50 a month. So, and that's a link in on my Instagram, there's a link in there, and it's just the warrior membership. The elite warrior membership is the leads. And I wanted to offer that just because I think a lot of people wanted to be in the community, but they don't want to spend that much, which I get, like, especially when you're just starting out, you know, $100 a month is a lot. So just so you guys know, I do have those two different ones. If you're interested, and you guys can always message me on Instagram for more information about it. I'm always happy to help. So
But
just wanted to
very
make
good-
sure.
Very good group, though. Appreciate it. It's like whenever you have a question, like Lewis said, just jump in there. Somebody's going to answer you within a short time. And so that was
Yeah.
really valuable. Yeah. And the one-on-ones were great too. But thanks so
Yes,
much,
yeah.
Noel. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
So Gonzalo's asking, are there still opening for the list?
If you're talking about like the elite, like warrior, like membership, yeah, there's still openings. And that one's actually capped. So that one will be capped at 100. No more than 100 people will ever be able to be in there. But the basic membership, just to be a part of the community, that one's going to be open to anyone. Since there's no leads, there's no chance of taking. That's just the bigger community, the more information you're actually going to get, because people are going to ask questions that you didn't even know to ask. And then you're going to read and be like, oh, well, now I know if this ever happens to me, this is what I do. And that's why I really like the community aspect. So I don't want people not to join just because of the leads. So that's why I just created that membership. Like I just did it last night. So it's actually live. So you're able to go in and sign up if you wanted to. It just hasn't been announced,
Nice.
on my page or anything.
Love that. Thanks, Noel, for sharing that. Any more last minute questions before we go? Because I know Noel's really busy with her family too, so I don't want to keep her that long.
I
Yeah,
got
so
one.
busy. I'm about to go type in some discount gift cards in my Excel sheet after this. So
I got one. What steps do you have to do when you first start? Like, what would be a good advice for that?
first steps would be, honestly, before you buy anything, if you're just interested in it, if you haven't already, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, because everyone does it differently. And that's the great thing about Amazon. I can sell in a whole different way than Lewis sells, and yet we can both be successful in it. So I would just watch a whole bunch of different YouTube people. You can just type in, Amazon FBA, or how to sell on Amazon, and just watch a whole bunch of different videos. And you're gonna find who resonates with you and watch their videos. Like just binge watch. I've been watched for like 2 weeks, and then from there I kind of understood how Amazon worked. And then I was like, okay, let me find the softwares to use. And I'm sure Lewis can help you with that. Seller Amp, Keepa, IP Alert. There's probably about 5 that you need. And not all of them are monthly. Like IP Alert is a one-time payment, things like that. Get the softwares and then learn the softwares. So like Keepa, 100% learn Keepa. That's like the most important one to learn. And then, Seller Amp is really just learning. It's just a quick way to see, is this profitable and worth my time to dive into Keepa with? That's what I use Seller Amp for. Because if the numbers don't match up on Seller Amp, well, I'm not going to take, 10, 15 minutes to make sure everything looks good on Keepa. Because when I'm looking into Keepa, I'm deciding, okay, I look at a lot more things. So learn the softwares, and then after the softwares, just start sourcing. Learn Keepa Product Finder first. I wish I knew about that before manually sourcing, because it's going to save you a whole bunch of time. And then just join a community, which I think you're already in because you're in Lewis's. So, join a community where you can ask questions and, get the help you need as you grow.
Love that. And I guess last question for Noel. So Noel, like how did Amazon change your life? I know it sounds cheesy, but I want to ask it.
it's honestly, I can never work for someone again. I tell like my husband all the time, like, I was like, if Amazon, like if something were to happen with Amazon, I'm gonna go make my business somewhere else. I'm gonna go find another business to create. I can never work for someone again. And I've always been like that. I always did like contractor jobs and things where I could have my own schedule and do what I wanted and make as much money as I wanted or as little as I wanted. So in that sense, it's just giving me that like independence, like confidence that like, if I can run this business, like you can run anything. Like I hear people doing, you know, Etsy, like prints, and, you know, people are selling on eBay, people are doing Facebook, you know, there's so many different ways to make money. It's just stupid. Like, I'm just like, there's so many different ways. It's like, if this one doesn't work out, there's something else for you. Right. And it's not to say Amazon's not going to work out for you, but if for some reason it doesn't, just find the next thing that does. Like there's something online that you can do. That you're gonna like flourish in. You just have to find what works for you. I've had friends that I've helped get on Amazon and it just wasn't for them and they just stopped. And it's not because they sucked at it, it's just they didn't find joy in it. Like I enjoy Amazon. I could literally work on it all day, every day and be okay. And I had to pull myself back because I was like, okay, you didn't do this so you could work every day. You did this so you could work less. And so that's like, you almost want that. You want that where you love your job, you know, because that's what at the end of the day it is. And if you don't love what you're doing in Amazon and you hate it, you're not going to stick with it no matter what. Like, you know, at the end of the day, whether you're making money or not, you're going to end up just like doing something else or just slowly giving it up. So I don't know. I kind of went on a rant, so I forgot what the question was, but
No. That was a good one.
I hope that answered. Oh,
Yeah.
You're saying, yeah. It gave me the freedom. Like whenever we go on vacations, now I'm like, oh, well, it's okay. It's just your schedule. I can take off whenever I want, is what I always say. I'm like, that's up to you. Just tell me when you want to take a vacation. I'm down. So just the freedom. It's great. During Q4, I burnt myself out because I was just pumping in FBM orders a bunch. I took like almost 2 months off. And I was able to do that because I made enough, you know, money in Q4. I was like, all right, I just need to take a step back. And so mid-December, and then I got back into it in February. And most people can't do that. So just the flexibility and like the free time you have, I would prefer, you know, I 100%, I could never go back to working for somewhere else, especially like a minimum wage job. I couldn't imagine it.
Damn, 2 months off is amazing. I should do that too at some point.
Yeah, but then I also was like, oh crap, I have nothing in FBA and I'm making like, I got to build that back up. You know, I'm starting from scratch. So that kind of sucked because it took about a month for like those sales to come back.
Right.
But now it's starting to flow again. So
But it's worth it though, because you're giving time to yourself, right? Like 2 months off is great. So you deserve it, you know. You work a lot, you work hard, you help everyone, you know, and the Amazon community, your Discord and other people. So man, thanks again, Noel, for being here tonight.
yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So
happy to be back on.
Yeah, can we give Noel like a clap, please, or emoji? I don't know, like thank you in the chat, something. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, happy to help. Happy to be on here. So I tell you, I get like motivated myself when I come on here and I just start talking about nonsense. So
yeah,
it just gets me excited.
Sorry. And again, follow her on Instagram. So I'm going to type it again here in the chat. And I hope you can see all the thank yous, Noel, in the chat too.
Yeah, see, I see it's like up on the right side.
There you go. Give her some love. Let's go. Let's do it. There you go. So yeah. Follow her on Instagram. Her Discord's amazing. I'm part of her Discord. Whenever I'm stuck, I type my question on the Discord, and you know, I get some answers right away from her or other people. So.
I know. I was gonna say, like, I'm usually the one to like message you. I'm like, hey, yeah, here you go.
Yeah, thanks, Noel. Appreciate you. So yeah, with that being said, thanks again, Noel, for your time. I know you're busy, so we're gonna let you go, and hope to see you soon on our Zoom.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.